Show you how dirty the Ferrari FF is getting. Now this is how supercars, in my opinion, should be. I'm using it for this trip around Scotland, and basically it's only done a day or two of driving. It hasn't even been raining, but this is quite how much grime is out on the roads. So when I get home, it's going to need a good clean up because it's pretty quickly competing with the Focus RS for being, well, my filthiest car ever. But let's see how it is when I've done a little bit more driving, because I am surrounded by lovely roads, although I'm not in the most picturesque location right now, but over that way, lots and lots of lovely roads to drive. So yes, enjoying this car. But what I wanted to do today is kind of continue on from yesterday's video, the Q&A, the questions and answers, and focus on one topic that I didn't touch on at all yesterday that I saw coming up an awful lot, which is all to do with where did Shmee150 start and where do I think it's going. So I want to talk a little bit more about this because obviously most people probably have absolutely no idea what the start of Shmee150 was and how I've ended up in this world of being a YouTuber and making these videos every day and putting content out, whether it's this video, whether it's social posts every day, traveling like a crazy madman, all sorts of ridiculous schedules, especially the stuff I've got coming up, believe me. So I think to get this started, I want to rewind the clock a little bit to the thing that probably most people know of where it started, if they know anything, which is my first ever YouTube video. And when I say my first ever YouTube video, I mean my first ever video I published, my first ever sort of full car video. I'd had some kind of personal stuff before, skiing holidays, friends at school playing sports when I was back at school in my teenage years, obviously. And I actually had one car video that I had to remove because it had a copyright thing because I had some music on it. But the first full video, the one that I think people know of, was the day I was walking past the Bibendum restaurant Michelin building in London, and there was a Top Gear magazine event which had Jeremy Clarkson at it, but it also had the Ferrari 458 Italia and the Lamborghini Murcielago SV Superveloce, and this was in January 2010, so literally 7 years ago from now. In fact, 7 years just a couple of days ago. So I think this is quite topical. It's crazy how long ago that was, but just a couple of clips now from my first ever YouTube video. So that was a little bit random. Basically, I was just playing around with a new video camera I had just got at Christmas, made a video, uploaded it. I think it got maybe 5,000 views, 10,000 views, and that was huge at the time. It was incredible. And that's obviously not like in one day, that's over a short period. But that was the trigger for everything pretty much that followed on from there, making more videos, just having fun playing around with it. Because before that, and I think this is a pretty key part of the story, I had been posting stuff about cars on my Facebook page, which had been introduced a few years earlier, on web forums, places like Piston Heads, Car Club Owners Forums, and all sorts of things, probably for a good 3 years before that. So I've been posting car stuff on social media for about 10 years now, which is a little bit crazy because if I had had any idea back then where it was going, I think, well, I don't think any of us did. We would have laughed if we had thought that one day this could become a venture that had, well, has over 900,000 YouTube subscribers, nearly 1 million Instagram followers, 40,000 Twitter followers, and about 2.6 million followers on Facebook. And I think that's one of the craziest things, is how much myself and my team are constantly doing this across all the platforms to bring everything all the time. But let's rewind to that first ever video that up to this point I think pretty much nobody has ever seen. So in February 2009, just shy of 8 years ago, at the time I was driving around in a BMW 1 Series. I had a 123D SE Coupe in Alpine White, and it was my pride and joy. I had waited for it to be built. It was really very special to me. Now I had the car on winter tyres because I was planning an Alpine trip down to the Alps later in the season, but that winter was a little bit bizarre because we got quite a lot of snow in London. So I filmed a little video driving around the same roads that you've seen so many times since, Knightsbridge, Park Lane, Hyde Park, but with a difference because it was very white and there were not very many cars around, because when we get snow in England, or in London especially, it grounds things to a halt. Nobody goes anywhere, nobody does anything. But I uploaded the video to my then YouTube channel to share, I think to post a link to it on my Facebook page, but I dubbed it to the song Chasing Cars by Snow Patrol, which went pretty well at the time. fast forward motion video driving around the park. Unfortunately, however, copyright things did not agree, so the video ended up getting removed, and that's why it no longer exists to this day. However, as you have not seen it, I can give you a little preview now of what was technically the first ever Shmee150 YouTube video. Obviously I had to change the song though, but I think you get the idea of where I was going with that, which seems a little bit strange now, making a video then and what it all sort of has become now. I'm actually going to do this in completely the wrong order and go a little bit further back, because there are some more questions that get asked all the time. Firstly, where does the name Shmee150 come from? And I appreciate that's a very reasonable question, because what on earth does Shmee150 mean? Well, quite literally, Shmee was kind of my online nickname for computer games, websites, anything I wanted to sign up for back in the day. The 150 came because once upon a time Shmee was already taken, and I got the opportunity to use Shmee98765, Shmee1234, whatever, and Shmee150, and that got picked, and unsurprisingly it stuck with me. So that has kind of become my thing. Shmee has kind of become my nickname. There are a whole load of birds flying overhead. There they go. How random. And yeah, that's basically the story behind Shmee150. I think I've been using it for about 20 years now, since I was about 10 years old. Which is also a little bit crazy, because I definitely didn't know as a 10-year-old what was going to happen now. Similar kind of thing, same sort of age. Let's talk about how I got into cars. Well, my dad was always a car guy. He always had M3s, that kind of nice sports cars. My granddad was a huge car guy. He used to go on road trips around Europe all the time. He had a Noble when he was in his 80s. I talked about that when I went to Super Veloce Racing to review the Noble M600. He had was it an M12 at the time? Can't entirely remember at the moment, but that was really quite exciting. And basically I've had cars, I guess, kind of around me, but always been interested in the newest, latest stuff, which is why I've ended up now doing these videos about supercars. So that's pretty much always happened. You know, I got to 17, age we can start driving in the UK, did my driving test, passed first time, did it straight away. Massively obsessed with everything. When I was 18, the first age you're allowed to go off on a road trip, I drove my Clio to the Alps. Actually, that's a lie. I went in a friend's diesel Mondeo for my first ever road trip. We left the UK. We called it Jolt's Rally, Journey of a Lifetime, and we drove to Prague. We went from London to Amsterdam to Berlin to Prague and back via Munich and Paris. So I did my first ever road trip when I was 18. My second ever trip, my first in my own car, was my Clio to the French Alps for a skiing holiday. Also at was I 19? I might have been 19 by then, but I think you get the point. Basically, from the moment I could be into cars and traveling and the kind of content I create now, I have always been there trying to follow it. Things like the Gumball Rally I was obsessed with. When I was supposed to be studying for my exams, I was always trying to find information, and back then it didn't exist. You couldn't go to YouTube or social media and watch a video or find content. You had to sort of directly try and ask people, email, use forums, speak to people in different countries. So it's crazy how much all of that has changed from then to now. I guess we know now a little bit more about where it's come from, but where on earth is all of this going? And I don't know really any more than you guys do. This sort of world of social media is changing so fast. I am super lucky to be a part of it. Obviously, I've been putting out content non-stop for years. I'm coming up soon for my 3,000th video on the Shmee150 channel, excluding about 500 other videos I made between various other channels I've had over the years. And when you think about how much filming and editing time that is over so long, it is ridiculous. It is so many terabytes of data on my hard drives, but it's phenomenal. I mean, the opportunities and experiences I get to personally live through and get to share with you are out of this world, and sometimes it's a real pinch to wake up and realize it's actually happening. So I have to say a huge thanks, as always, to you guys for making this possible, because without you it wouldn't be. Doing things like driving the FF around Scotland, which just seems ridiculous still to me, but hey, it's here and I'm having fun and making the videos and posting them up. Where's it going? I do not know. This platform changes so quickly. Algorithms change. The way you guys, or people in general, consume content is changing. as younger kids get older, it's all changing even more. I mean, I know from my demographics that people of all ages watch these videos, and obviously I really appreciate that. It's fascinating though to see and hear what people want to see, and try and change and adapt and constantly play. But equally, I have to pay so much attention to what YouTube want and what YouTube are pushing and what kind of content they want me to create to grow in the algorithms to make the channel work, because making the channel work means better content, means better opportunities for me, means cooler stuff, means nicer videos. It just goes on in a full circle on repeat. Will YouTube still be around in 5 years' time? Personally, I doubt it in the same format we know now. Will what I do still be the same in another 5 years? Almost certainly not. We have no idea where this is going. Another thing people are sort of have been asking in the Q&A in regards to that is future cars. And do I one day see myself in a hypercar? I hope so, and I dream so, and I think if it ever happens, I will pinch myself before I realise that it's actually real. Let's just see what happens, see where all of this goes. You can just be sure of one thing: if it ever does happen, I'm going to be sharing it all with you guys, as I always do. Anyway, I have rambled on for far too long. It is freezing here, light is dropping quickly, and this car needs to be driven. So I should probably jump in and get on my way. But that's a little bit of a backstory, I guess, of where did Shmee150 start? How has it come to this thing that now has quite a few million followers across all these different social media platforms, and where's it going? I mean, it's not just me doing this. I have a whole team working with me. It's about 10 people in total now to help run all the social stuff, obviously working with companies, the brand stuff, the marketing stuff, the social media things, all the different content opportunities we get to create, working with all the manufacturers. But even just the simple things like reading all of your messages and replying to them and going through all of the comments takes a whole team to do it, because when it's this many people, there's an awful lot for us to see, and we do our best. And I hope you can sort of understand that if ever we're unable to reply. Anyway, I apologise for talking so much. I'm going to jump in the car and warm up. Thank you very much for watching, as always, and I will catch up with you again very soon. Cheers.